I was sitting there listening to Mike Florio on PFT PM right before this show. And Pay, did you know that Caleb Williams supposedly does not have an agent?
I did not know that.
Yes, it's reported. He is one of the few players in the NFL that does not have an agent. Now, he figures, why should I need an agent when if I get drafted first, everything we have, the rookie pay scale, he knows he's going to get within that. But I think it's a mistake. If you're trying to save 3% versus the value you get, even as a rookie, I would think that he'd want to have an agent, because not only does the agent, if suddenly there comes out some slanderous type talk, like he's smoking weed out of a gas mask or something, there's nobody to refute it, because he can't go out there and say, hey, wait a minute. So if a team's trying to drive his value down, so they hope, they can grab him in the draft somewhere other than Chicago, that's quite the possibility. Then take, if you're the number one draft pick and you're rookie quarterback, you're going to want, I would think, an agent to get, endorsement deals. Coming to Chicago and sell used cars or something.
Used cars.
I'll make some money.
Yeah, your agent mostly handles your, as you said, your dealings with your team. You can hire somebody else to be your business advisor, and they can take care of all your off the field, extraneous, dealings you got going on. But yeah, to your point, it's very important to have an agent, because they do fight the fights that you don't have time to fight. If there is somebody out there dragging your name through the mud, bringing your draft stock down, this is the fight. This is why you pay them the 3% to go ahead and handle that business for you. Now, Caleb, it would have to be something extraordinary to bring him to drop him from off the one line. So maybe he's just playing it that way. Yeah, I can save this 3%, even though it's, 3% of what they make is minuscule. You should go ahead and just let the guys do their job, and, so you can sleep a little better and not have to worry about things that's
I would think so. Hey,
right.
Want to welcome everybody that's watching. We are already live, and it's time for the roll in. Let's do this. Let the battles begin. Hey, everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and SKOL, and we have another gathering of your NFC North roundup, Who Will Be King? And as you caught us talking about Caleb Williams and not having an agent, which is all right. That's fine. It may not demonstrate the smartest acumen of who you want in your starting quarterback, but it is what it is. And we assume that he's going to be selected by the Chicago Bears. And speaking of the Chicago Bears, we have Pay from the Bear Claw Podcast from the city of Big Shoulders, where the wind blows and they love their football. Pay, how are you doing this day, and how are your Bears doing so far? You're on mute.
My mistake. Thanks for asking, Dave. I, as just like the Bears, we are doing fantastic. And this, last week of February, getting close to the beginning of the official start of the 2024 NFL season. Um, yeah, it's all's well so far. We've had a great intermediate season so far in between the end of the football season and beginning of the next football season. Everything's turning up navy and orange right now, so loving it.
Hope is building. And speaking of building, we have the dynamic duo from Detroit, June and Foster of Bleachers To Speakers, the guys that absolutely love Detroit sports, and especially their Detroit Lions, and hope their Lions continue to build in the offseason and the draft to make them a perennial Super Bowl contender for the NFC. Gentlemen, how are you doing this wonderful day? June?
I'm great. Hi. Just a few changes since we last talked, mainly on the defensive side as far as coaches. The most notable is the D-backs coach took another job somewhere, went to the Dolphins. That would be Brian Duker. Cornerbacks coach, Dre Bly, was let go. Go figure. The defensive
Who was
line
the weakest part of your team?
someone had to, be the scapegoat. The defensive line coach, John Scott Jr., was let go. The senior offensive assistant, Jim Hotster, was let go as well. And the senior defensive assistant, John Fox. We all know John Fox, former coach. He was let go. So
Interesting.
Good for him.
Foster, you got anything to add to the wonderful movings and shakings in the Motor City?
Outside of that, we made one of our salary cap saving moves, cutting Tracy Walker, who had a comeback season this year. He injured himself early in 2022, and he was due $12 million. So we saved $5 million releasing him. And outside of that, Trey Bly was let go, which is kind of a eye opener. But he is a name that we all can recognize. And I think the hire of Terrell Williams, who's somewhere, I think defense. He's somewhere on the defensive side. He's actually he was a former coach with Dan Campbell in Miami, so that's a familiar face for him. And Aaron Glenn lives to see another day. He is still, he's hanging in there. So that's about it as far as Lions news, right? What are these sounds?
Hey, I'm gonna be nice today.
Hey, you don't have to be. Makes for good audio. Hey, everybody, if you don't know already, and most everybody does because we're broadcasting on Vikings First and SKOL, I'm Dave, normally the producer. I've been doing this for a long time, reporting on the Minnesota Vikings for well over 2 decades publicly through blogs and other reports, and been doing whole podcast and streaming thing for well over 5 years now. The streaming a little bit less, but we're going to have some fun. And in Minnesota Vikings news, we don't have much of anything other than a whole bunch of people that were scheduled to be voided and hit free agency, except for the top 3 of those, 4, have already been done so. These are guys that they can roll over and come back on the practice squad types. So no big deal. The news of the week was that Marcus Davenport, the defensive edge that we signed last year from New Orleans, and our brothers in arms down at the Dome Patrol warned me about, who only played 4 full games, and didn't come back at the end of the season. His void date got extended to March 13th, the beginning of the new league year, right before the beginning of the new league year. He joins Daniil Hunter. He joins Kirk Cousins on that delayed wait to give time for the team to possibly negotiate an extension on those guys. So it will be interesting to see if they actually do. Now, we paid Marcus Davenport a whole bunch of money. It was $13 million for a whopping 4.75 games over the time period. But we wonder if we can bring him back as an insurance policy on a prove-it deal. We don't know. Because when he did play, he was damn good. But it was reported he was healthy at the end and didn't want to come back, and we worry about that. He being the type that may want to be 100%, no boo-boos, no scratches, no broken nails, no nothing type of player that wants to come back. So we don't know how that's going to work out. We have signed our first technical free agent. He was an exclusive rights free agent. Theo Jackson, a safety. He has been re-signed this week. He'll make roughly veteran minimum for a third-year player, which is probably around $1 million. Not a big deal. It's good to have him back. I'm glad he's back. That is what has happened in Vikings land as everybody prepares for the NFL Combine, Scouting Combine, which starts next week. We love the Combine. Pay, why do we love the Combine?
I love it just from a perspective of watching athletes be athletic. That is the only reason why I like the Combine. It is one of my bigger fascinations, just quick twitch muscles operating at a unprecedented alien type speed. I mean, it's freakish stuff. Like the human body is doing this. I don't believe it. It's always, I get a good kick out of the watching the guys bench press, watching fat guys try to run a 40. It's a good thing. Also, Rich Eisen. He's always trying to, get out there and, show that us regular people, we have no business on the field. He does that for us. That's pretty much.
What gets me is the vertical jump.
Verticals.
The guys that can hit over 40 inches, it's just amazing to me, when they get up there. And then to watch the fat guys try to do it. It's funny.
Yeah, you can't pass up the tail of the tape. Like, you get these, you have in your mind how tall someone may be or this, that, and the other, and it straightens all of that out 40 times. The bench press, the verticals, everything is put out there. If you're a 5'9" corner, you're going to know about it. You probably didn't realize
Even though you were listed as 6 foot in college.
Yeah. So the tail of the tape tells it all. So that's what I love about the Combine. It reveals a lot.
Mm-hmm. Foster, is there anything you like?
I mean, it's just interesting to see. It's interesting to see people's draft stock just go through the roof just based off of just a simple workout here and there. Like it almost just trumps everything that you saw on the field for the last 2 to 3 years, all based off of one, a couple workouts in shorts, on turf in the most ideal environment. So it's fun, but it makes some people some money.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Deservedly so or not, yeah.
You see people rise and fall just because of how they measured, whether it be they, instead of running a 4.40, they ran a 4.5. Instead of measuring 10-inch hands, it was only 9.25 inches. He's got tiny hands, right? For the quarterbacks. Arm length. I love the big round bellies, right? An arm length on a round belly needs to be at least 32 inches long minimum. And you want, closer to 34. And some guy comes in, he's 31.5 inches. He's got short arms. He looks like T-Rex. stuff like that gets me jazzed up to see. And you're right, Foster, 100%. It moves people up and it moves people down when it doesn't really tell you how did he play football.
Right.
Right? That's where you got to go back to the tape and watch the games and everything else. But it doesn't tell you. All you're going to see is wow, this guy's an athletic specimen. Let's draft him in the first round. Well, the Vikings have a history of that.
I'm not sure if Foster or Pay will remember, but I know you remember, Dave. Remember Peter Ward?
Mm-hmm.
Is probably one of the most electrifying players in college.
Oh, Florida State?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
He gets in the combine. He runs a 4.6.
Did he?
He ran a horrible 40 time.
And he ended up being a bust, though.
He looked so fast on the field, returning punts and kickoffs, and he was a dynamic wide receiver. Gets in the combine, he runs a 4.6, and wound up being a bust anyway. So,
the Bengals, I remember that.
Our story is 2007. Red McCombs was our owner, and Red McCombs was a cheap bastard from San Antonio, Texas, who couldn't get what he wanted, couldn't get a new stadium built. So he sucked all the money he could out of the Winter Park and the Metrodome and let the team go to crap. He hired Mike Tice and just a handful of coaches. I mean, the smallest staff we'd ever had. Well, he traded. He did, the owner, traded Randy Moss to the Oakland Raiders. Well, Randy wasn't pleased and didn't play worth a damn in Oakland.
No.
He didn't play worth a shit until he went to New England the following year. But 2007, I went up to the draft party with a buddy of mine, and it was held in Winter Park, and we sat there, and we drafted Troy Williamson, wide receiver, North Carolina, I believe it was. And Troy Williamson ran a 4.23 40. Dude could fly. Well, he was drafted to replace Randy Moss, right? Which is a big ask. Big time ask. And the dude could run. I mean, he could fly. But he had one problem. What's a wide receiver supposed to do?
Catch the ball.
Catch footballs. Troy Williamson couldn't catch a football if his life depended on it. Not at all. The owners, all right, they'd switched. The Wilfs got the ownership, and they sent him to some eye clinics doing eye exercises, gave him some super duper glasses and all sorts, and it still didn't help. He dropped that football, and it was bad. But his stock went way up because of the combine. and that's the warning fans have to take.
Yeah.
And every fan base will go through it. I'm sure Chicago's done it. I'm sure they fell in love with a quarterback named Trubisky and thought that was the guy to get. And
that was a low blow.
But hey, it is what it is, right, Pay?
Hey man, history's made to be rewritten every day.
Yes, it is, and repeated most often, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's in trouble. Now, what I really like about the NFL Combine is when the tampering starts. Now, it's technically illegal to tamper before the legal tampering period, but everybody and their brother knows it happens in Indianapolis at the Combine. Teams and scouts are talking to players and their agents and everybody, and they're talking to other teams, and you get, whether it be at a steak restaurant after the fact and everybody's half lit and they're in the back, and then they start talking conversations of how many oranges will it take to get your, if I wanted player so-and-so, if I was trading you apples and oranges, right? So they're not talking directly. They're just alluding to it. And suddenly, and then some people in the press, some with more access than other, gets wind of this, right? Whether it be, hey, the Vikings are looking to trade up to New England at the number 3 pick. It's been reported this week that the Vikings planted the seed down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. Will they consummate that marriage in Indianapolis? We're getting stuff like that, and it goes across the league. Everybody's talking to everybody else. And it's those rumors that come out, those premonitions of somebody knowing that there's something already been done, so that when the legal tampering period comes up, everybody's already talking and, yeah, we're going to get this free agent and that free agent, blah, 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 blah. And as soon as the bell strikes, 3 minutes later, Chicago signs this person for $60 million on a 2-year deal, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, how can that be legal, right? There's no way. It takes more time just to write up the contracts than to make it public like you did. And it's all because it happens in Indy. That's what I like about Indianapolis and the NFL draft combine. So, but who knows? Now, Pay, you've had, I heard that Eberflus gave your coaches the directive to coach to your players' talents today. Does that mean you're keeping Fields?
No, that does not mean they're keeping Fields. I don't think that that is anything more than just what do they call it? Eye water or eye wash? In that frame, they're just saying things that the public wants to hear. What a press conference is for, to get the word out to the public. Endure some good vibes going on. That's all Eberflus is doing. Hey guys, I want you all to do your job. Right, boss. We will do our job just because you said so. No, that doesn't point the Bears in any way, shape, or form to where their decision will be the most important decision of the offseason. If I had to guess which way they're leaning, it wouldn't have to do anything about what happened in their press conference today. It would be more so about what's going on with Justin Fields' social media activity over the last 72 hours.
Yeah, we saw that online that he discontinued his Instagram, deleted everything. Does that mean he expects to leave the Bears?
I would agree that it is probably moving in that direction. If he's got that opinion, I would not assume that he's got that opinion. He formed that opinion on his own. I think that his agent is hearing things or not hearing things from the Bears, and a non-answer is just as good as an answer, right? I think those type of things have led to the social media divorce for Justin Fields. He went on to a teammate's podcast yesterday or the day before. My days jumbled up at this point, and he explained his decision, and it sounded like to me like, yeah, he's trying to make his peace with it. He's trying to just unplug and recalibrate some things, and move on to the next chapter in his life.
What I had heard he basically said was he was unplugging from social media, from anything other than friends and family. And that's what he was going to use it for. He wanted to get away from the football side of social media because it was added stress he didn't need.
Yeah, then which is excellent journalistic work from EQ St. Brown. He grilled him on that, so he went through it and said, "Hey, you are still following the NFL, even though you said you aren't. You are still following some Atlanta Falcons players, so not a total disconnect from football, just a disconnect from Chicago." So that would lead me to believe that there is he's trying to make his peace with it.
Not bad. I look forward to when Kirk Cousins does the same. I didn't say that. Anyway.
Who said that?
We'll find out. Now, speaking of Kirk Cousins, I want to bring him in. There's talk this week, been reported, that he wants a fully guaranteed contract, which I have no doubt he's gotten. The last two were fully guaranteed. That he is looking for minimum 2 years, but would like 3-year fully guaranteed contracts. And Minnesota is saying no. So they're at an impasse. Whether they figure it out between now and March 13th is a different story. We don't know. For our fan base is split. How about half of them, maybe a little bit less, want him back desperately, and everybody else wants him to wish him good luck in wherever he goes, and hopefully he, lives up to his potential and plays just a little bit better than 500 football like he has up until now. So that's sort of interesting. I don't know if it's going to happen. Which leads into the other sticking point, which is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has been the hot topic for the last week. Solid. From the things he said over at Radio Row for the Super Bowl all the way up until even yesterday when we did a show on theoretically doing the exercise of trading Justin Jefferson, there was the whole idea that the Wilfs do not want to pay fully guaranteed contracts. I did a show last Sunday on Two Old Bloggers about, I'm betting the Wilfs don't want to guarantee a 3 or a 5, especially a 5-year contract where it's 100% guaranteed. Because if it's 100% guaranteed, that money needs to go into escrow straight off the get-go. And if you've got a 5-year, $185 million contract, that's $185 million in cash they got to come up with. Even though they are billionaires, most of their money's tied up in assets, right? Most billionaires are that way. They don't have that sitting in their couch cushions to say, hey, no problem. So yesterday we did an exercise, mock draft exercise, where we traded him to the Patriots to get the number 3 pick. That way we got the best of the top three quarterbacks. We think there's top 4-ish if you include J.J. McCarthy.
Did you say you got the best of the top 3 at number 3?
At number 3. Oh, then we have a choice of whoever's left of the best. Okay, we figure there's top 3. That's Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels, right? As consensus top 3 quarterbacks coming out in the draft. J.J. McCarthy's generally moved up into that top 4, been good. Hey, he could be that high. And then you get Bo Nix and Penix. Yeah, as the other 2 in the top 6. And then Spencer Rattler's working his way up. And as Foster said, these guys could really move themselves up in the NFL scouting combine next week. Throw beautiful passes to wide receivers they've never met, measure with big hands, run a 40 faster than people expect him to, measure, hey, he's not 6'1", he's actually 6'2", right? Things like that can move their stock up. So
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. I was going to say that. That's exactly what
exactly. And so that's what makes next week so fun. And if I encourage everybody, all the fans out there, if you have NFL Network or NFL Plus, and I think ESPN's doing it too. They're doing live coverage. Just turn it on in the background and watch and catch. You'll catch, oh my God, he ran a 4.2 40, type deal. And he's an offensive tackle that weighs 310 pounds.
Hey,
it's going to be fun. But that's the big news in Vikings land. Now, there's other news I'm hearing. There's certain teams within the division that want to trade for, or not trade, but to sign and woo and sign Danielle Hunter. Would you guys know what teams those are?
Is that a trick question?
Mm-hmm.
the Packers?
I'm hearing Packers, Bears, and Lions are all interested in Danielle Hunter.
Well, yes, all three of them could definitely use an upgrade at edge or at D end. Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. So, well, that brings us to our probably our final segment. But before I get there, I want to hit some music. So I have a marker. I do have a deal that no, I don't have it set up to put a marker in here. So we can pay some tribute, or we appreciate you guys listening to the ads that are about to be next, because they are what generate us some beer money, or in my case, whiskey money, and whatever Foster looked like he was enjoying. It gives us
Rose.
that up.
Rose, yeah.
He's a champagne and wine sipper. Yeah.
Okay. But it gives us the opportunity to do that. And with that, I want to make an announcement real quick. As we roll into 2024, the head folks at FFSN let us know today that our podcasting host, Megaphone, is ramping up, and they get a ton of money for doing ads for politicians. Well, at Fans First Sports, we want nothing to do with politicians. I can't think of a lower job description out there. I don't want to hear about it. I know when we're talking football and you're talking football and you want to talk Vikings, Lions, Bears, even the cheeseheads up in Green Bay, you don't want to hear vote for Schmuckatelli, who's going to ruin and take more money out of your pocket. No. Right. Fans First Sports said,
no.
They've already determined there will be no political ads on our network. So if you hear one, let us know on any of our shows so we can up the deal. There will be no political ads. We're going to stick to sports and all the normal ads that you hear on a daily basis. But we do appreciate those ads. And we'll be right back after this. And we're back. I should have faded that out instead of cut it abruptly. There's hey, live and learn. Hey, I'm a producer, but I'm not the greatest producer in the world.
Hey, we're all it's an on the job training, Dave. That's it, man. Just let them know that. I did have one question. Is Schmuckatelli an actual politician? Somebody?
Wow.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure you can find him somewhere, probably in Wisconsin.
That makes sense. That tracks.
I have no idea. Well, all right. We've talked about the news of what's happening with each other's teams. And when I looked at Green Bay's, not to leave them out, I'm not seeing anything spectacular happening up there anyways. And of course, here come the popo. There's we brought up Green Bay. They said no. I got that. So We've talked about what's happening with the teams. We talked about the NFL scouting combine, which starts next week. But what we haven't talked about is the draft. Everybody, every fan base I know across the league, doesn't matter if you're in the NFC North, which we of course think is the best division out there, or you're in the AFC West, the AFC Central. I mean, you can find all the AFC Central stuff you want on Fans First Sports Network. They're dominated by the Steel Curtain Network. NFC South with the Dome Patrol, and there's all teams are representative, but the Dome Patrol I've talked to and personally like, even though I don't like the team, they're all there, and all the fans are talking about one thing, the draft. And they're mocking the draft. So, who seems to be the most mocked player in your draft position as of now? Whether it be, what is it, June? You guys are sitting at what? 20?
29.
29.
29. Okay. At 29, who is the consensus draft pick for you all, for Detroit?
There's been so many. It's I've seen several places. I forgot the I'm very horrible at name. It was a defensive end from Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That name keeps popping up. For a while it was Quinion Mitchell, but he's seemed to move up the draft boards without even a combine. So go figure with that. So just hearing a bunch of it hasn't been anybody that consistent lately. Like I've done mock drafts with the simulation so many times, and there's not a one that's there all the time. At first it was that defensive end from Washington though.
Okay. Which we did, Tyler Fornes, partner of mine, did a whole SKOL search draft profile on him along with another edge. Is it all right if it's not stuck on one player, is it stuck on a position? I.e. like edge.
It changes position. It's either defensive end, corner.
Okay.
That's consistent. That's very consistent. And matter of fact, the corner out of Missouri has shown up a lot lately. I forgot his name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His name has been popping up a lot lately, the past couple weeks on mock drafts. So yeah, I take that back. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pay, other than the first pick, which we all assume is going to be Caleb Williams. Selection at number 9. Is there a consensus? Is there, a relative, hey, 50% are selecting player A?
The player that's been getting a lot of buzz right now in mock drafts for number 9 for the Bears lately, and this is, when I say lately, I mean like the last handful of weeks, Brock Bowers out of UGA. He's not my pre-combine crush by any means. Shout out to Delton Vincent. Because I don't want the Bears. The Bears have a lot of holes to fill, and we already just gave our inhuman, freakishly athletic tight end Cole Kmet a long-term deal last offseason. I don't think drafting another, stud of a tight end in the top 10 of this draft is the right move for this team at this juncture. But to answer the question, yeah, that's the name that's percolating, that's pretty popular right now. Another name that is not as popular lately in mocks has been Neighbors out of LSU. I personally am not one for drafting a wide receiver that high. just because our general manager's track record with wide receivers has been, I can't say the word on on Dave's channel, but if you've heard it on my channel, I've used the word, and it's synonymous with not
Trash.
good.
Not good.
It's a little stronger than that, Dave. A little stronger.
Hasn't met expectations.
Yeah, let's stay there. Has it his ability to scout and judge and acquire wide receivers has not been the best. And the list is too long to even name. He went out and got DJ Moore, who had a career season. Excellent. But that's one out of like 7 misses. So if he was playing baseball, his batting average would be below 200. So for that reason, mostly, I want him to leave the wide receivers alone. Go get the wide receivers, later on the rounds. You drafted a wide receiver, Tyler Scott, in the same round as Tank Dell and Puka Nacua last draft. How about we get better doing, not missing out on those diamonds in the rough? Let's go grab some. Let's grab one of those tackles at 9. Let's not let one of those guys get away from us. That would be my dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you got the big round bellies on the edges, both tackles, left and right, that sets you up for future success. And that's one thing I'm happy about with the Vikings that we do. God, that would make you guys tougher. So interesting.
I did want to elaborate a little bit on as far as the Lions mock draft. It's obviously tricky for us because we're at the whim of kind of everybody else in the first round. So we kind of get what's left over. But I have seen a carousel of different cornerbacks. I've seen, and this is a guy that I thought would probably go a little bit earlier, but I have seen some mock drafts lately with Kool-Aid McKinstry dropping to that late first round to us. It looks like June was saying, that Quinyon Mitchell's stock is going up. I've seen Nate Wiggins go from Clemson go above him, and Cooper DeJean I think is going to go anywhere from middle to late first round. So it does leave Kool-Aid McKinstry possibly falling to us. And I have seen the Missouri guy Rackenshaw, I believe his name, as well at corner. But it looks like I've seen more corner than edge rushers, just because I think the edge rushers are going to go like your Chop. Well, yeah, your Chop Robinsons, your Versus. What's the guy? I can't remember the other guy that we just broke down the other day from Alabama. But I'm seeing them going a little earlier than our spot. So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, for the Vikings, at
Dallas
at number 11, and I hope this changes, but at number 11, the consensus pick is more of a position, and it's edge, because we don't know what's happening with Danielle Hunter. Hopefully we bring him back, but still, we need somebody opposite him, because all we have right now is an undrafted rookie and a late round draft pick that's on as an edge rushers. That's it. 2. We need edge rushers.
You was referring to Dallas Turner.
Yeah, I could not remember. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
Well, our top 2 mocked people, number 1 is Jared Verse, and the second is Dallas Turner. Third one is Laiatu Latu.
We did a profile on him.
Yeah, and of course, he looks
He's
very,
ready.
very promising as long as his medicals check out.
Yeah. He's NFL ready.
Yeah, he's got like 8 different counters, and most vets don't have that many. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Vikings, if they take an edge at that spot. It's interesting. Chi-Town Vikes talks about Hunter's going to want 25 mil. Yeah, Chi-Town, I think he's going to want that. I think he might settle for like 22, but we'll see.
Chi-Town what?
Chi-Town Vikings. So one of our fans obviously lives in Chicago. There are Vikings fans in Chicago.
There's Packer fans in Michigan. And Bear fans in Michigan.
It's kind of sickening. Yes, it's kind of sick.
I agree. I agree with you, June. My stomach's not doing too well right now.
But that's where if we stay at number 11, they have us taking probably the best edge. Now, the whole idea is that we don't stay at number 11 and we trade up and get our quarterback of the future, which leads to our dream picks. Now, knowing where we all stand, I'll lead it off as the Vikings. Our dream pick is to move up into that top 3 so we have at least one of those top 3 quarterbacks available to us, and we select our quarterback of the future. That's what we want. Whether it be Drake May or Jaden Daniels, because we think Caleb Evans is going to Chicago, where most likely he'll be ruined like every other quarterback that went to Chicago. He may not be, but that's a possibility. Speaking of Chicago, pay other than Caleb Williams at number 1, who's your dream selection at number 9? Or is it
We make a trade? Down? No, we are not trading down. We did that twice last season, and the jury's still out on how that grades out. You don't trade down 2 years in a row from this position. You just don't do it. So excluding the number 1 pick, I would love for the Bears to trade that outstanding asset that they still hold on to and get another first round pick, take that pick, package it with the number 9, move back up into the top 5 and draft, and make sure they do not get the best tackle off, and make sure they don't miss on the best tackle on the board.
Gotcha. You want to go with the big round bellies. I love that. Foster, what's your dream pick at 29? And welcome to drafting in the 20s. I know it's been decades since that happened, but welcome to joining the crowd.
So this is a dream pick at the spot where, so are we being real?
You're at, unless you're talking about trading up. With me, we're going to trade up because we want the quarterback of the future.
Yeah. As far as the dream pick, if we were trading up, I would say Dallas Turner. I feel like he can be that next Will Anderson type that I would have loved to have. I mean, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs. No gripes there. But yeah, I think that Dallas Turner could be the next mold of a Will Anderson type. And he's obviously a linebacker, but at the edge position,
look at the remark pay.
The Jared Verse out of Florida State, who's an actual defensive lineman edge. So between those two,
wouldn't be bad.
I think his name's Jared. Yeah. I think his name's Jared.
It's Jared Verse.
Yeah.
No, could be. I think those guys are going to be good. I think those top 3 edges, Verse, Turner, and Latu, if Latu passes, it's going to be good. So, and if we don't trade up, I hope that quarterback falls to number 11 for us, whether it be JJ McCarthy or one of the other 2. May falls. Drake May seems to be falling for some reason, or Jaden Daniels. We'll find out. June, who's your dream pick?
Just to be different from what Foster says, it would certainly have to be a trade up scenario because there's no way this person would be at 29. But I'm thinking someone along the lines like a Nate Wiggins, the corner out of Clemson. I think probably the best corner in the draft. We won't see him unless there's like something magnificently done in the front office. And we're talking like moving way up because he's going to go very fast. So that would be my dream pick, Nate Wiggins. Just if Foster hadn't have said Dallas Turner, I would have said Dallas Turner.
Nate Wiggins isn't bad. It's one of the players we've featured as well already. It'd be a nice corner to have. And the
It's pretty
Vikings may be interested in corners. We don't know yet.
Purple guy.
So, interesting. That's good to know. Now, I want you guys to track over the next few weeks as we get closer to the draft who, where the mocks go, because it's a fluid thing. I got a buddy that posts it, from when they start in like January after the season starts, who's got all the momentum going for them, and it's like a flavor of the week. 1 week it's this guy, next week it's this guy, and he does a squash graph type deal, layer cake graph, and you see people move up and who gets popular, who doesn't. So the NFL scouting combine will be a big chunk of that. So we'll find out. Delton, yes, I'm always drinking. Generally during the show, it's one of my sticks. I find it works. I only usually have one. That's about it. Sometimes two. But it keeps me relaxed and talking, and hopefully a little less verbal pauses. Generally is what I found out for it. Now, I don't know if Pay, June, or Foster have ever tried that as a hack, but it's a hack that works for me.
Yeah, I've brown bag pay has made an appearance on some of my shows. Yeah, it's happened.
A buddy of mine, Gary, asked, "Are we going to do more shows?" Gary, we plan on doing this once a week all the way through.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll lessen that during the summer, but we'll find out when things get really slow. But
we need a Green Bay affiliate.
We need a Green Bay affiliate. We need somebody in the middle we can pick on. Is what we need. And but it is what it is. June, what have you got going on at Bleachers to Speakers, and where can we find you?
You can find me and Foster's show on Motor City Metrics on YouTube. You can also find some great featured player profiles on Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. You can check us out on all podcast streaming platforms. Bleachers to Speakers. And go ahead, Foster.
Yeah, we're deep into our draft type stuff, and we'll be doing some free agency stuff as well. But yeah, we're breaking down a couple players per week at this point, so we're ramping up, and it'll get even more interesting next week when the combine is here, because that'll give us a whole new perspective on these guys, because we're kind of working off of maybe some dated times and measurable. So the combine will definitely give us the most up to date stuff.
Pay, what have you got going on at the Bear Claw podcast?
So we just published actually, no, it hasn't published yet. It should publish within an hour or so of our offensive off-season grades from 2023 and our franchise tag primer. Who on the Bears would likely get the tag? Who do we want to not get the tag from other teams? Our wish list, if you will. And we have a little deep dive on the Justin Fields social media gate. Let's call it Instagram gate of 2024. It's a pretty long show for us. We usually keep our shows in the 45-minute range, but this one's going to be a little over an hour, so it's a good listen. Check it out. And we've also got another installment of our series that we're doing all off season, Caleb versus Justin. That should be coming out early next week. All good listens. Hashtag DBC, the Bear Claw Pod. Everywhere you get your pods, YouTube Music, because Google Music is going away, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube at The Frustrated Chicago. Check us out.
Interesting. Well, over on my side, we have Drake May coming up tomorrow on a SKOL search. It'll be later tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to be talking about Tyler, my partner's favorite quarterback in the draft, even above Caleb Williams, Drake May. He on his grade scored a little bit, just a tad bit more than Caleb did, and he would love to see him. I think I'm comping the Chargers quarterback to him, but we'll see. We'll find out. And it'll be tomorrow late afternoon. Everybody that's on my crew, continue to watch. You'll get the notification. We'll come on. And then we have Two Old Bloggers, which is me and Darren, on Sunday. And we break down the big stuff like we did with the escrow money and Justin Jefferson. So if you want to get in depth on that and why it may be a sticking point, watch Two Old Bloggers on Vikings First and SKOL. And of course, you can catch it all on our podcast feed, anywhere you get podcasts, and over on the written side, a Fans First Sports Network. We're all there. Gentlemen, what do we say? June, have you got that lion sounding any better?
No. Somebody else is using that too. On another lion show up here.
Yep, I've heard it.
Yeah.
Pay, what do they say in Chicago?
We say bear down.
And we say in Minnesota, SKOL Vikings. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a The Bear Claw Podcast. Bleachers to Speakers. Vikings First and SKOL. And of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening. Boy, my stream deck seems slower and slower. Thank you, gentlemen. It was a good show. I will turn this around almost immediately.
All
As
right.
fast as I can.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Good
Great
show.
one.